A little bit.
Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Welcome to the May meeting of the East Lampeter Sewer Authority. And members are Gavin Taylor, Todd Stump, myself, Rick Robinson, Fred Clark, and Vinnie Patel. Welcome you to join us at the American.
Hey, changed it. Changed the last one.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moved it. You gotta turn this.
Engine and exiters. We've had the minutes from the April meeting for at least 3 weeks. Unless there's any additions or corrections, they're going to stand approved as written. I saw no problems with them. Treasurer's report. Sanitary sewer.
Checks that he'd written in the amount of $7,991.24. And as the end of April, we had a checking account balance of $44,902.29.
Requisitions.
I have a number of requisitions today. First is requisition number 03-685. Payable to Herbert Williams River King for work associated with the Oklahoma Station 2 Illumination Project. Pike Sewer Extension Project. Rockvale redevelopment sewer improvements, the design review of that. The PennDOT State Route 30-462 design. And the 30 telling traffic signals design. Totals $22,926.69. Next is requisition number 03-686. Vehicle Trust, Wilmington Trust there for the Steve Langster. This is the wastewater treatment plant, South Train screenings, handling improvements, amendment number 2. The amount of $548,379. This is requisition number 03-687. Again, this is going to Manufacturers Traders Trust for Wilmington Trust. For the city of Lancaster, the wastewater treatment plant chlorination facilities improvement, amendment number 3. The amount of $614,220. Next is requisition number 03-688. Again, going to Manufacturers Traders Trust, Wilmington Trust for the Steve Lancaster wastewater treatment plant. Special and emergency capital improvements, deposit number 10, $37,325.
I'll make a motion to approve the requisitions as stated.
Bills.
And Bill.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Stormwater.
Looking at the checks, and he written about $10,271.37. And we have a checking balance of $726.24, so the appropriate fund. Next meeting, make sure those checks are covered. In favor, do roll call.
I'll make motion to pay the bills and transfers.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? So moved. Under old business. Under sanitary sewer CFA funding.
The Oaks Pump Station 2 elimination project, we've been reviewing contractor submittals for that project. And working with the solicitor on obtaining easement from the Nisley property. If you remember, that was being obtained through eminent domain. There was an issue with that in that all the property owners could not get notified of the taking. They apparently didn't have addresses for some of the property owners, so they got returned to the solicitor's office. So, proceeding through a posting and other means of obtaining that. And working with the solicitor, he said that method should be completed now around May 24th at the earliest, assuming that there's no objections to that process. So I know the contractor was anxious, but we had to tell them to hold off and don't have work with rights to that property just yet. So now they're looking at mobilizing the beginning of the meeting for that. Assuming that no issue meeting is scheduled just yet, according to the contractor. But I would assume if they don't have it in early June, there's an issue.
Will it affect our permit for going under the Route
Should not. Everything's gonna be still in the same period, still in the same location as where we permitted with them.
Okay. ARPA funding for the pipe project.
Contractor is also working on obtaining their materials. We actually just got in this afternoon a bunch of submittals for that project. They're anticipating beginning on site around June 20th. To start construction there. Township staff has been in contact with some of the property owners. Primarily we're working with Paul's group there, just to notify them of the work, keep them apprised of it, because we have to take some trees down as part of the construction process, and they're moving that process.
Is there any other old sanitary sewer? You're new on the old water. Bid.
Okay, we had our engineer reach out to two contractors that were both co-stars, just to compare pricing. Eagle Construction came in a little over 1.6 million, and Liberty came in around 1.4 million. Able Recon, the dig up replace of that other contract. Westcon, who works for Mr. Reed, who's a third-party vendor. They agreed to dig up and replace the pump for $397. So to dig up, that price comes to $1,784,977. And that would be for line and dig up. Able to 6 with no dig up and replace.
It's that bad shape that.
That they couldn't line through it. Able said that they will not do any dig ups. So the ones in Mr. Rehab, they picked out, I think everybody did get comments. There was some that were on the dig up replace list. Looked at the videos and said they could run through it. They might have to put a little fill with the pipe to fill that, but then they can run straight through. So that's why a couple of the dig up place got added list.
They moved about $134,000 into lining, which would have been much more expensive for dig up and replace.
The That's the rehab since the field. We did budget $2.4 Disables will not dig up.
Okay, motion for both sides or a motion?
Just for each.
Well, Mr. Rehab is a subcontractor to, Westcon is a subcontractor to Mr. Rehab.
So it is all under Mr. Rehab.
One big contract, 74 million.
So that doesn't,
It's all goes forward.
dig up is covered by Coast.
Yep, yeah, Westcon, they give you their full storage on. So, and that's what I have, answer, get all that price. Just to see where, keep everybody honest, and actually, if it was closed, you can negotiate co-store contracts.
That's.
Yeah, but, Abel's was stuck right over there. So, but Westcon and Mr. Rehab. are
Looking for a motion to award the contract to Mr. Rehab.
Is there a final total?
The whole total price with the dig up and all the lining, $1,784,977.
All Mr. Rehab. All right, I'll make a motion. We award the contract for lining and dig up to Mr. Rehab for $1,784,921.
$77.
77, sorry.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Question on that. If we didn't have a stormwater fee, authority would still tackle something like that?
Well, if we didn't have a stormwater board, the township would have to pick it up.
And that's something we're looking at regardless.
So you have to, the pipes are starting to collapse, yeah.
Any other old? New business under sanitary sewer, I investigation.
Do you remember when we put the meters in at Rockville, every time it rained, we got a spike in the flows coming from the eastern part of the township? Probably in March, doing an I investigation with some pumps hooked up, rain spouts and fine. To this date, we sent out 24 letters. We're slowly coming up through 30. We don't want to get too many at one time, not into these investigations and repairs. Sent out 24 letters, 22 have been inspected. We found 4 issues, some with some pumps. I think there was one with a rain leader tied in. So we give them 30 days to disconnect, and then we go back. If they're done before 30 days, they give us a call to go back and inspect and make sure nothing gets connected. Next week, there'll be about 30 more letters going out. What we do is we give them 14 days to respond to us. We get them on a schedule. We have 2 personnel from the sewer department enter the building to investigate the basements for any sump pumps connected to the sewer system.
These are residential places?
Yeah.
All of them?
Oh, so far, there was business, I think they had a bunch of dehumidifiers hooked up. And it was a couple gallons a day that they were discharging right into the sewer, so they rerouted that piping and discharging it out to the ground now. So we're hoping to cut down some of the cyanide. We're getting into a heavy residential area now. So I think we're finding a lot of. We found one, a reverse osmosis hooked up. And I think we're doing some research on that, and for every gallon of water they use, 2 to 3 gallons are discharged into the sewer system.
Residential reverse osmosis?
Pardon me?
Residential or commercial?
Residential.
Drain that.
I'd say, I think it has to be.
I mean, that's where we drain.
We're still doing research. I don't, that's what we're talking with,
That probably is a sanitary discharge, like a dehumidifier. I can see that.
I see that.
Reverse osmosis system, that would be.
well, the only thing that osmosis, but is it discharges your harms and everything from the water. Well, that's industrial waste ordinance then.
Not really.
Well, and like I said, we haven't done anything with this thing yet. We want to make sure we get all our ducks in a row before we say, you got to do this. Because I don't know. What do
Do
you?
I tell you now? I have a reverse osmosis.
But you're just saying, it's wow. But yeah,
East Lampeter, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them done.
but the other question is, you know,
Not before. Heard this?
Not on like a residential system. I mean, I know on a water treatment plant system, I mean, there's reverse osmosis systems for municipal sized water treatment systems. Those are sanitary discharges. So
Because we
I
have,
think residential is the same.
we install a lot of small reverse osmosis because of like ice machines and
Yeah.
certain things to purify the water. But I disagree with that discharge.
yeah, I don't know.
It's not discharging that much.
Okay,
Because it
that's
doesn't
just what we're
discharge in
reading.
every cycle.
Yeah, that's just what we're reading. So if you got some information, please send it to me.
We don't know. You know, there's a lot of, I mean, the cost of these things have come down so much. That's why they're,
Yeah.
because, I mean, if you have city water. If
But, yeah, we got.
it is. You want to call it. Well, they send the letters out. It's.
Knowledge.
It's public knowledge. Letters out. They admit, you know, we're.
Yeah, but yeah, we haven't moved on this. I'd like to make sure we got all our information. Is it okay to do this? Is it not? How many gallons are actually getting discharged? If it has to go to the sewer, do we say, you got so many gallons, do they pay an extra fee for one for a year, not a quarter? I don't know. There's just, I got questions written down. I'm trying to get answers.
You can talk with technicians that probably would have the answer as far as exactly what it discharges. There's all different sizes of it.
Yeah, and that's just it. I don't think the guys go back and see what size it is. Because there's 2 residents and a business. It's still, so. But yeah, the I-9 investigation.
Let's hear about the partners meeting.
So the partners meeting was on April 14th. Actually, just because of the dates of the meeting, we thought that further financial report that we had the minutes from that meeting. Some of the, I get there, with respect to the hydraulic flow calculation, up of the municipal township proposal. They've been in a hydraulic penalty state since the week of March 14th or March 4th. So they're exceeding their capacity and as such are paying.
What happened?
Technically, they're using other partners' capacity within the system, so they pay a penalty and that penalty fee is distributed amongst partners. Or for other capacity, you're getting. You with the wastewater. DEM Smith has completed a draft of the biosolids code plan and issued that to the city. They're then going to be working on equipment selection with the city here. And that should be coming out to the partners here within this next quarter. That's going to be the big driver for the next large project that the city has, that $100 million project that they're looking at there. The city is working through to pick what equipment they want as part of that. So that's working with the biosolids process. We have the liquid treatment side and you have the solid side. Process, and that's what they're selecting here.
How much of that $100 million is the city's responsibility?
I think they're like 48%.
48%. And they can come up with $48 million.
Well, they'll be applying for funding, so. The Conestoga Garden, Stevens Avenue intercept capacity evaluation. So the city's working on finalizing the CCTV investigation requirements, and they were to issue an RFP to contractors by the end of April. That's the one here where East Lampeter is responsible for roughly 90% of it. That's the project driver, big cost, potential big cost right now. So that work should be completed here this summer or later this year. We would have an idea of what repairs are needed there for rehabilitation of that pipe and what those costs are, what those costs would look like. I think those are big highlights, I would say, associated with it. At Quarters meeting, the city distributed estimated project schedule with estimated cost. We could take that and provide them how they have a borrowing projection. We have but that's looking your funds that existed in the construction account at the end of the day. But all the cost through the other and we approved here. And also back to your current construction contract. Illumination, strategic pipe sewer extension. Based upon, again, the date the city is looking at and the cost they have in there, it would be the end of this year that forecasted that the remaining funds in the construction fund would expend. So you're forecasting that December, the schedule is full. The whole month ago, got from here, was here, identify options and said, we'll see what the schedule comes in and shows from that. But that's the current time. The other thing I would just say is, Rick, you'd asked about how's the city funding that $100 million project. I think they're going to be looking at Penvest. Platt has indicated they're all going to be looking to go to Penvest as well for their portion of funding of that project.
Quite honestly, that one's.
Yeah.
You see where we are. We joined the train to or decommission.
Okay, thank you. US 30, State Road 462, PennDOT Improvement Project, incorporation.
This is stuff that we had discussed on the full meeting, but it wasn't on the agenda last month. So for that project, there are some construction elements to the sanitary sewer system with conflicts, the improvements that PennDOT's proposing in that project area with the existing sanitary facilities. And sanitary facilities need to be adjusted. Similarly to what's being done with the storages on Route 30 at the eastern side of the township. That work was incorporated into PennDOT's contract, where PennDOT's contractor would do that actual construction. And it was discussed that that same mechanism to do that. And I just in the first letter from the board wishes to do that. This needs authorization for the county to sign this letter. If you choose not to, then you would just get your own contracted. But for this, work very
Make a motion that we incorporate the improvement project in the PennDOT's improvement of Route 30 and 462. Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you. For afterwards,
Well, new business under sanitary sewer, Lassa Eden Road Interceptor, sewer capacity and rehab.
just as the city is looking at their interceptor, which your flow goes through, LASA is looking at their Eden Road interceptor. And that Eden Road interceptor conveys flow from Zook's Corner sewer district. So there's the Willow Road meter pit, Pine Drive, and Hartman Station, which initially flows through Ultima's system and then ties into the interceptor. So LASA right now, they're estimating their total project cost at about $11.4 million of that. And currently they've calculated East Lampeter's share at 5.3% of the total project. They also noted that there's currently no agreement that exists at this time between LASA and East Lampeter. So they're having their attorneys work on developing for that as well.
There's no agreement.
There's no agreement that we could find.
Do we pay anything
Yes, we pay it
through the city?
through LASA.
We pay LASA
We do.
for like a conveyance fee or something. No agreement.
I don't know if that's, is it with LASA specifically? Like there might have been an agreement with Manheim or.
Used to be Man Township,
Oh,
used to be Man Township, but they bought systems, so not, so agreement. There's a township agreement.
So that's the first item, basically information about it. But during this process, Upper Laycock will develop LASA to request additional capacity in that system. LASA said, and based upon their initial investigation, they weren't able to accommodate that request for increase because surcharge is their sector in wet weather. So LASA asked their engineer to develop a hydraulic model to help understand if the rehabilitated interceptor would help meet Upper Laycock's needs or not. And through that process, they reached out to the township and us and asked for flow data And before we provide that to them, I would bring it up to the board just to authorize a release. This was last looked at in August of 2024 as part of city's request at that time for the plan upgrade to take a look and say how much capacity is needed there. So during that effort, we had identified current flows and flows in 2042. And the average flow at that time was 0.193 million gallons a day. The peak flow, 0.493 million gallons per day. Flow projections were going to go up to 0.344 MGD and a peak hourly flow of 0.887 MGD. And that's still within the capacity, East Lampier's capacity at the Lassa Eden pumping station, which you have 0.4 MGD average and a peak daily flow of 1 million gallons a day. The numbers were all. If you're okay with us releasing that, we can release that to RK&K. If you'd like us to reevaluate it because it's been 2 years, we can do that too and let them know. But the numbers seem to make sense. I think I'd be comfortable with giving these numbers out. Yeah. Okay. We can release that to the.
Any other business under sanitary sewer?
To comment about where your funds will be. So it takes about 3 months to work through a bond process. Just keep that in mind as we move forward. And I know that Fred is always leery of how many projects the city will actually do. So it would look as though in the summer of this year, we should evaluate really where the city is with projects so that if we need to, we can line up a borrowing at the end of the year.
By the end of 26, you're saying.
Right. Okay.
That's why you're the manager and we're just here.
Well, given that you're by the month, your first point, it's the only variable there.
We will have 2 more partners meetings. We'll have one in July and another in. They'll be updating their costs and schedules.
Dates.
And dates and stuff like this.
Yeah.
A new business under stormwater, Willow Road box culvert.
If you remember, you committed $50,000 towards that project. Substantial completion has been released. There is a punch list. The road is open right now. There's a punch list to work a little bit on some guide rail. The handrail was back ordered for the pedestrian crossing, which was put in for High for their trail run. Which High has agreed to contribute towards the project. Ours for that extension because they needed it donated towards the project. But the contractor is supposed to be out there this week to complete everything on the punch list, and that'll be a final. The road is open now.
So there's still enough money there from that 50,000 to.
No.
No, not enough money to.
Oh, you're paid on.
That's what I mean,
That was
handrails and anything like that.
that $50,000 contribution. We got to 49.9 or something like that.
Or how those things close together. Any other new business under stormwater? Any other business?
Are we discussing the Rockville sewer improvement? Did I miss that?
I put it in my report. The So they had made a submission of their design drawings. I had completed a review of that and provided those comments back, and I put a copy of my comment letter in here. It's in a report for your information. The I would say big picture, they, are doing what the concept does, what we were asking for upgrading the capacity. There's details as it relates to like the construction of the manholes, specifically with the annex, but they're adding more detail and drawings of how that's to be constructed and such.
There's a design for a no section beneath the roof.
Yes, they have a 12-inch pipe being added underneath the Mill Creek. But some of that detail I was looking for was the structures upstream and downstream are gonna look like lacking of information. And having manholes in that area, the floodplain with lime and such that should have what type it is. Currently, they're not showing easements through the Rockvale properties for the new route. And if that's anything over the meeting, we'll have to do there, maybe with that. Having that shown on the drawings. Showing the methods of connection to the existing piping and such. So there's had a couple page comment letter there going back to them, comments to address as part of that. And providing the slopes of the pipes that they're proposing and everything else as part of their design. Because that's why the DEP will look for as part of the permit submission as needed.
On the south side of Route 30 is the work being done. That's all dedicated lines that they're doing.
As part of this project would need to be, yes, because you'd have flow coming from multiple property owners.
So that's why the easements are required. But what about the lines further back in the property?
Within parcel 2, within parcel 5, those would be private. Because there's a road that goes through Tanger that goes back to the township road behind it. That sewer main there is a dedicated line because of the connections south of Tanger. So that will be dedicated, but what they're building for their clubhouse and for their apartment buildings on their specific parcels would remain private because it's only serving those facilities.
I was just questioning a development like that. I mean, because it's a apartment complex, you don't dedicate those lines. That's whatever's in their property. If it was housing, it would be different.
If it was housing with individual owners, that would be dedicated.
This is 1 so.
Yeah. Just curious where it started and stopped.
It's similar to like I's project on Greenfield North with that apartment complex there. Basically, what's on site is private to serve their multiple apartment buildings once it's used their site.
What's the timeline over here at Rockvale? Any idea? Well, the apartments, for instance,
28 apartments are under construction.
and they have EDUs for that.
They do. And then they are in process with the clubhouse right now, and they have EDUs for that as well. And then they would wait on the additional 378 or 72 apartments once the sewer line is complete.
And when's the sewer line supposed to be completed?
We don't have a date on that yet.
They haven't.
Harley and I have been attending meetings with representatives and senators to show the township's support in obtaining funding both at the state and federal level for both the streetscape improvements and the sewer improvements. And they're really looking for options of public funding for those.
Thank you.
Yeah, Furthermore, for the money also, so the senators and everybody are seeing that they're willing to put up some of their money, not asking for the whole lump sum of $1 million, just under 4.
3.2 for the sewer line. So they're putting up $1 million for that, and then they're putting up $1 million for the streetscape. That I believe comes in at 2.3, 2.4, somewhere in that range.
They're looking for almost $4 million between the two of them from development.
But this still could be a year, 2 years away.
It could be. If you can tell me when that the state will have a budget on time.
Yeah. So if they're waiting for, the financing. Like a green crossing permit, like a year. But
Probably, I mean, we typically say 6 months, plan for 6 months.
There is a timeline in the agreement that was signed between Vermont and the township that they have a specific amount of time to seek funding.
I just know from experience, stream crossing permits are awful. And take time.
Well, the one we got from Strasburg.
Yeah, that one was very fast.
That was like 4 months.
Really?
Yeah. Because they wanted us to do something different.
We proposed boring underneath it with a directional drill. And they wanted a lot of geotechnical investigation and investigation on the wells. And we said, well, what if we open cut instead? And they're like, okay, approved.
Yeah.
Nope. Cut.
Well, which is what this,
Here,
Horror story.
not very more or the sewer related, but just for update on Kettle Fire. They have been working on getting their DAF unit running, seeing reduction in flows as part of that process. So I think
Accordingly, and are we getting any closer to coming up with an EDU number that they owe?
so we have been billing, yes.
Flow,
And- I'm sorry,
on actual flow.
actual flow,
Okay.
yes. I don't know that we're any closer to a new EDU number until we have consistent readings from.
Well, yeah, it's not only the DAF unit, it's their chiller system.
Right.
Like, once they say, hey, this is the system we have, then I think we can look at, so, okay, what are you actually producing? So I'm waiting on information from them to say, hey, like, what's their chiller system up and running? Like, what's it reading? Like, the improvements that they're proposing to make, they say, hey, we're done with these. Are we implementing everything? And what's our functionality?
Their usage did go down significantly. Their usage
Mhm.
went down.
We're getting flow from a calculation, right? Because the meter wasn't working, there was too much, if I remember correctly, to actually get an actual.
Yeah, they have their own meters in too, but plus we're getting readings from the
You
city.
get the city and then you do it, so it's still by calculation, not.
We have that, and we have the flow meter downstream as well. With the reduction in flows, I think that's getting a little better. Maybe a little more probably within range, but that's what we're seeing as far as the reduction in water usage as well. That would show us pretty high peaks. See.
We did have another cleanout south. They had a grease release. Again,
Kettle and Fire did.
they flushed all the lines that they can do. And I don't know if they made it into South Run yet, but the guys noticed one day a bunch of grease in there.
Grease release. We had a grease release.
They're following up. But they're having some issues because if you remember years ago, we lined those pipes
Yeah.
with this constant PSI pressure getting against it, it's sort of weakening that line. Where it goes through the manhole, the boilers getting in behind it. With the high pressure they're using, they should be using a low pressure. But they go back and forth 3 or 4 times. So it's a constant beating of this PSI pressure on this liner. So we're having to videotape everything, and we're inspecting everything.
You want that guy from Fire and Kettle to come and give us a
Picture.
Yes, I know that there's a sizable EDU charge and a sizable flow charge. And they're like way under. Their EDUs are actually going to be.
Yes,
They were way over what their EDUs will be.
Oh, yeah, they're way over. I'm saying.
yeah, the use that they paid for, the flow is way above.
Yeah, still way. Which is a sizable EDU charge.
Yep.
Especially if it's gonna be at the newer number.
But Rick, I think that you were talking about this picture anymore.
Oh, is it?
I think they're gonna send it off.
Did he come over and say goodbye to you?
No, he said goodbye to Tara.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn? Moved.